Good morning, I'm Argiolas, and in my presentation I'll present the first steps of an experiment on the use of augmented reality as a support for the teaching. In particular, the experimentation is aimed at hypothesizing an AR application that supports first-year students in the architecture courses during the redrawing exercises of elemental of classical architectural orders. Augmented reality application and the use of digital tools in general allow for an increasing targeting of information, so each user can receive information in the best way for his or her characteristics. Furthermore, while it's true that free exploration of connection between drawing and the spatial representation, both physical or mental, is an important way to expand the knowledge of the student. In the case of novice students, this process risks becoming dispersive or misleading. Therefore, providing a direct connection, not necessarily a substitute for the free exploration, can facilitate the exploration process. Physical accessibility to documents can be mitigated by copies, physical or digital. Cognitive accessibility influenced by the user knowledge, limited for obvious reasons in those who are just starting to study architecture. Through augmented reality is therefore possible to allow access to potentially unreachable materials and at the same time offer useful notions to understand the document itself. As we know, an idea and its representation are closely linked and are part of a cycle of materialization and development of the idea itself. This is equally true when it comes to representing reality. For a correct representation, it is therefore essential that the interpretation of the reality, the idea that we are made of it, is correct. The redrawing therefore triggers reasoning and analysis processes which, on the basis of theoretical knowledge, allow a critical reading of the drawings, the identification of important details or errors in order to create the correct idea of the drawing and so the correct representation of the drawing itself. One of the most used subjects in architecture school are undoubtedly the plates present in historical treatises, and in particular those relating to the architectural orders. They are in fact among the first theoretically and formal elements that a first-year student learns. One of the main difficulties of those who are beginning to approach architectural drawings is to be able to form an image in space of the object that are studied on two-dimensional drawings. For this reason, for example, primitive solid physical models are used in the exercises. In the case that is being presented, some of the plates that are being used over time in architectural drawing courses at the University of Cagliari has been examined. Specifically, the plates produced by Gustavo Tognetti at the beginning of the last century has been used. Tognetti was an architect who was also active in the city of Cagliari, where he also taught in various drawing courses between 1912 and 1917, the year of his transfer to Parma. These plates, which are currently available only thanks to some reproduction used in subsequent years, specifically for the exercise of redrawing the architectural orders, contain indication of the various elements such as the moldings, the proportion between the various orders, and the conformation of the columns and relative trepidations for each order. These plates were then used as base by another drawing teacher, Salvatore Rattu, that set up his plates in the post-war period, some of which are still used today in teaching in Cagliari. Rattu was an extremely active architect in the city of Cagliari between the 30s and the 60s. Like Tognetti, Rattu, in his activity as a teacher of drawing from the 1942 to the 1979, also produced, as said, and used in teaching his own plates of the architectural orders. It seems evident looking at his plates that Rattu has taken up what Tognetti produced. As no other teachers is known today to have produced plates, especially for this type of teaching. Tognetti plates should therefore seems to be at the origin of the tables and redrawing exercise still in use in our schools. It's also interesting to see how in some tables Ratu takes up and enriches the details element that Tognetti proposed in a very synthetic way. Just as the opposite is also true, we can in fact see how Tognetti illustrates the columns with a wealth of details in capitals and abbreviations, while Ratu uses simple volumes in this case. Finally, Rato also proposed plates relating to elements that Tognetti does not address in detail, as happened, for example, for the case of cohesion or composite capitals and their multiple declinations. So the hypothesis underlying this experimentation is therefore that implementation of augmented reality support can facilitate the understanding of complex elements, such as those mentioned up to now. The object of the redrawing exercises and at the same time also provide useful parallels between Tognetti's tables and those of Ratu. In this slide we can see a summary diagram of workflow for the design and developing of the first prototype of the hypothesized augmented reality application. Once the target audience was established, so the first architecture students, the types of information and orders could be provided are hypothesized too. We then moved to the digitalization of the plates, where these were not already available in digital format, and to the reproduction of the models to be displayed in augmented reality. The prototype was developed on these materials according to now consolidated processes. So we generated the targets, associated them to the models, developed the user interface, and then compiling the prototypes. There are several tools for reproducing augmented reality application today, but the most commonly used ones involve, on the one hand, the use of game engine supported by libraries for augmented reality content, such as Vuforia, and on the other, the development of a web page that combines different JavaScript frameworks, most based on 3JS. One possibility is to explore the potential of WebGL thanks to the A-Frame framework and the AR.js library. Here we can see some of the main features that guided the choice of the tools. Among those, we have the need or not of always active internet connection, the ease of development, accessibility, and the accessibility to a generic user. In the first phase of development, aided to creating a prototype with a minimal interface and very basic functions, it was decided to opt for developing our web app, easily accessible by everyone via a simple link to open in the browser of their smartphone. So in the following slides, some screenshots of the developed prototype are shown. The interface, the bitrate reduced to a bare minimum, only provide the augmented reality viewer. On this, by framing the plates in their entirety or in some cases only parts of them, it's possible to view the 3D models relating to elements represented in the plates. For the modeling, which in their simplicity can be viewed as a simple extrusion of the profiles, to the models of the columns in various architectural orders. In this case, it's possible to visualize more detailed models, such as those drawn by Tognetti, but also more synthetic models, such as those proposed by Ratu, bringing the student attention more to the proportions than to the details. Details that can be instead be viewed, for example, in the plates dedicated to the capitals. In this case, you can see the faithful reproduction of the unique capital modeled precisely according to the indication provided by Tognetti in the relative plates. Another possibility is instead to visualize physical real elements, such as a baluster used in a shelf. Shelf was plaster reproduction is part of the materials owned by our drawing laboratory. And its photogrammetric reproduction has been the subject in the thesis in the past. It's therefore interesting to have the opportunity to also show real application projected onto theoretical representation, the comparison of which can stimulate further reasoning during the redrawing. So in conclusion, we have a first simple prototype of augmented reality app offer important possibilities for supporting teaching, and in particular in the processes of spatial interpretation of architectural drawings. The processes are often problematic for those such as first year architecture students who are still developing the necessary skills and knowledge. The first issues immediately encountered was the long time taken to generate the markers, several minutes, as opposed to a few seconds with other technologies, and the difficulty in some cases to recognize the images and tracking them due to some very usual poor visible features. The first problem can be solved by, for example, adopting offline generators using Node.js instead of its online version. With regard to the tracking problems of some images, a quick solution could be to add high contrast or more effective coded markers version of the redrawing plates. However, the first results proved very promising, providing a quick tool for the arrangement of the analysis plates. The next step of the experimentation will aim to implement new consultation possibilities, extend the way of use of accessibility sources using the plates as a target. The use of web technologies, in fact, allows for practically infinite potential involving, for example, bibliographic insights, multimedia content, detailed description of the elements, similar case study available, for example, on the web, or direct access to catalogs of similar or related objects. This will facilitate a better consultation of multi-representation that each single object can have. In fact, we are seeing that a single plate can be in a single place can be coexist models of intention for the study of proportion, model for the study of details, also photogrammetric model of existing physical elements in which these details are applied. The implementation of additional manipulation tools beyond simple visualization can further expand the possibility of study. Some tools, such as manipulating the light of the model, the possibility of sectioning them, or breaking them down in their components, are some examples of tools frequently present in online viewers, therefore implementables in a prototype such as that we are presenting. Thank you for your attention.